Good morning, my beautiful followers. How's everyone doing this morning? The sun is out. Addison's got real clothes on. I know. Jeans. I haven't seen these in like a week. I have not seen my jeans in a week. I have been such a lazy ass with not even yoga pants. I haven't even been wearing yoga pants. I have been straight up jamming it. I've totally been in my jammies the last week with the snow and the cold. So I was feeling excited when I jumped into some real clothes today. So headed out of my house, warm and cozy, excited for the day, but that's not the topic. That's not the topic. So this morning I ran across an article I wrote a year or two ago called This Year's Love. And if you want to read it, you can head over to my page and you can read it, find out all about this year's love. But the article really stems from what is our forever person? Who is that forever person? How do we find that forever, that connective, heart-centered, you are the one, twin flame? I could throw all these things out. How do we find that person? How do we find them? And right now I'm single. I'm single currently. Yep. And I was really thinking about, because as I was talking to some fellow single people in my life, they were like, yeah, you want to make sure you can find Mr. Right. You want to find Mr. Right. You don't want to find Mr. Meh or Mr. Between. You want to find Mr. Right. And I was like, actually, yes, I do want to find Mr. Right. I do. But I disagree in searching for Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. And I swear this is for both genders, but I have an issue with the Mr. Right. Sometimes we need to step into Mr. Right now or Mrs. Right now, because we have these learnings of each of our relationships that they give us. Now, you don't want to just jump into a relationship to jump into a relationship. Hence why I'm single after being out of a relationship for a few months. And so I don't want to necessarily jump right back into a hardcore relationship that really isn't aligned, that I'm really not feeling. I am cautious there. But I also believe that when we search for Mr. Right, Mrs. Right, we search for perfection a lot of times. We go, this person must be perfect. And we put all this energy, all this pressure on the beginning of a relationship. And instead of just allowing us to have the people that come to us naturally, have those lessons, those learnings. And sometimes somebody comes into our lives and they're not Mr. Right, but guess what? Throughout the course of the relationship, you learn some beautiful things, and sometimes they transform into Mr. or Mrs. Right. They transform. We transform, and that's a transformation we're needing. We are needing that transformation. And when we look at somebody, we go, they're not perfect. They don't have this. They don't have that. They don't have that. They're not tall enough. They're not skinny enough. They don't have, the career I want them to have. They don't have the education I want them to have. We end up filtering out some very beautiful lessons for ourselves, some very beautiful love connection for ourselves. And these relationships really are to grow us and expand us. My last relationship, I have so much gratitude for, so much gratitude. He was not Mr. Right, but he was Mr. Perfect for that time period in my world, and the learnings I was needing to go through and the expansion I needed to have and some of the experiences I truly needed to have in that moment. Some things I hadn't experienced, some love, some connection, and then also a deeper learning of self. And even months later, after a actually very amicable breakup, it was actually a beautiful breakup, which was also a learning of this was a beautiful freaking breakup. Textbook breakup. Even after that, I'm still learning the lessons. I'm still able to look at that relationship and go, wow, I'm still learning this lesson here and this lesson here, and this is what I want and this is what I don't want. But a lot of times we look at those relationships and we go, we wasted our time, or we go, I don't want to waste my time. And I hear this from from so many people. They are scared to step into a relationship because they don't want to waste time, because they know, they're like, this is not perfect, or this is not my forever. And while we should not necessarily step into a relationship just to go, I'm in a relationship. I'm in a relationship. See, I'm in a relationship. See, I have some kind of status. Bullshit. But we don't want to necessarily do that. But if we're feeling drawn to somebody, we're feeling drawn to that connection. We are feeling those romantic feelings of love and connection. Sometimes it is beautiful, and it is what we need to do to step in. And so there's lots of things I have on my list of desires for somebody in my world. Like, we all have those things of like, okay, yeah, like this is a non-negotiable. This is the things I would really want when I visualize a man in my life, when I can write, if I was to write him in. There's lots of those things. And then oftentimes when we start a relationship, we don't necessarily see all those pieces. We are not seeing those little intricacies of that other person that we truly do need, and that growth piece, because we change over relationships. Guess what? Like, I love when people go, well, you've changed because you're in a relationship. Yeah, no fucking duh. Like, we all change in relationship, all of us. Relationships change us, and they should. Now, there's a level of like losing ourselves, and we don't want to go there, but relationships should change us. Because that is our growth, that is our expansion, that is our learning, that is our blessings and lessons that we really are gaining, that we need to gain in those moments. And so I wrote that article last year, and it was this year's love. And that's really what it was. It was, maybe this relationship isn't going to be forever and ever, but right now this is beautiful. Right now this is bringing me joy. It's bringing me expansion. And so for those of you out there who are dating, whether you're newly out of a relationship, you've been dating forever, I want you to look at your negotiables, the things that you're like, yeah, I'm kind of a meh on this. I'm not super like, I'm not a yes and I'm not a no. You know, this is not going to be a deal breaker for me, versus those things that are I think I said non-negotiables. I meant negotiables. Then your non-negotiables is things that are like, no, this is not happening in my world. Like, this is not, like, this is a hard line. And then I want you to really look at if you're being too picky. And I kind of hate, like, people be like, well, Addison, are you just too picky? I'm like, no, I'm not really too picky. It's the energy. So I want you to look at, are you being too picky? Are you looking for everything? Or are you willing to learn those lessons? Are you willing to step into a relationship that might be even a little uncomfortable? You're like, this is not somebody I'm used to dating. He looks different. She looks different. They have a different vibe than I'm used to, but I do have the energy and the connection with them. We are definitely dealing with a whole new level of dating now that COVID has happened and all of that. And so I want you to look at maybe where you need to make yourself a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe where you need to step in and maybe not look for perfection, but look at who's Mr. Right, Mr. or Mrs. Right now. And I don't mean that in their disposable sense. I mean, who right now is going to be my learning? Who right now is my lesson? What is my next spiritual assignment, as Gabby Bernstein would say? Where is my next spiritual assignment here? And then when you get into that energy, when you get filled, when you are learning your lessons, that is actually how we find Mr. and Mrs. Right. Right there, that is how we find them. Because they will come into our world once we have expanded at that level, once we have learned the lessons we need to learn to call them in, once we've gotten into the correct vibration and energies. Because if you're sitting there at home negative and like, nobody wants me, I'm not finding any woman, I'm not finding a man, guess what? You're not pulling in your forever. You're not going to pull in your high vibe, twin flame, passionate, loving energy. You're not, because you're not going to be at your best. You're not going to be in that beautiful energy. And sometimes, if you've been single for a long time, it's more comfortable to be single than it is to be in a relationship. So look at that. Look at that. Are you maybe choosing the right now of comfort over your lessons, your expansion, your learning and love and connection that you're probably desiring. Because guess what? We all desire love. We all desire connection. So look at those things. You know, maybe I'm not saying we need to settle, but we need to be open to the universe bringing us a multitude of opportunities, a multitude of different people. And maybe they don't look perfect. They don't hit all the check marks, but maybe they hit some check marks you didn't even know were on your list. Maybe they hit those beautiful check marks that you haven't even thought of. Give it some thought. I'd love to hear your comments below. If you have not liked my page, what the fuck are you waiting for? Get over there, like the page, help me get my message out there. Get your daily coaching tips from me. Get your daily coaching tips. Come on, they're free. They're free. People ask me free questions all the time. I'm like, why are you not watching my videos? I give you the answers. I give you the answers. So, all right, guys. But if you do want to work with me one-on-one, head over to addisonbell.net. Fill out an application to work with me, whether that is in person, online, I do it all. And we can talk about how to move you forward. All right, guys. I love you, and I will see you in another Addison Unleashed tomorrow. All right, guys. Love ya.